Amy, I'm not super big into New Year's resolutions because I feel like the things we always commit to for resolutions should just be things we commit to the whole year. So I've been trying to get back into weightlifting
Ooh.
recently. And I've started using protein shakes again, and shaker bottles simply blow. The protein is always so clumpy, and I feel like a
Uh-huh.
total idiot using the thing, like
Yep.
shaking it like a shake weight in the middle of the gym. So I decided to ditch my shaker bottle for good and get myself a BlendJet 2 portable blender because it makes perfectly blended protein shakes in 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, BlendJet 2, it's portable, like Olivia said. So, you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach, which is always
Ow.
good. um, BlendJet, it's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to get through tough ingredients like ice, frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is also whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up your whole house. And it lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB C. And best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. You just have to blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. And that actually is a big deal because washing blenders is so
Oh
annoying.
my God, a
So
literal nightmare.
yeah. The easy clean is a great feature about BlendJet 2.
Hell yeah. I'm also super into like pop, like, because I'm someone who wears black, like all black,
Mhm.
almost all the time. I'm a very neutral gal, and I'm looking down at my outfit right now: black shirt, black pants, black shoes. But I'm
Same.
very much into like a really,
Uh-huh.
really bright pop of color. So I'm very into like hot pink and bright orange. And I'm
Yeah.
currently obsessed with the bright orange color they have on their site.
Mhm.
They have a ton of other colors also and designs, cute, like, partnership ones with Disney and stuff.
Mhm.
So there's no other portable blender on the market that comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. So go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. Be sure to use the promo code GGS12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Cryptids. We're back with more
Again,
cryptids.
cryptids.
Guess who's back? Back
Back
again.
again. Girls
Amy's
Gone
back.
Spooky is back.
It
It fits in perfectly.
does. It really does. That's Amy, and I'm Olivia, and this is Girls Gone
Girls Gone
Spooky.
Spooky.
Ayo.
Cryptid edition
Yeah,
like 3.0. I don't
yeah,
even know.
literally.
Four
I think we've done
maybe.
a lot of
Hmm.
cryptids, but just not really knowing it.
Yeah.
Um, So I'm doing something similar to the last episode where I'm using my United States of Cryptids, A Tour of American Myths and Monsters by J.W. Ocker,
Hmm.
um, as a guide. But last episode, I was covering the Northeast, and now I'm
Hmm.
talking about the South.
Ooh.
And this is by far the largest section in the book because the South is just like a swampy
Hmm.
magnet for
Yeah.
creepy things.
Like
Which
in
the South is also,
Appalachia.
yeah, exactly. It's also
Hmm.
just like, I don't know why that would be. Like maybe because it's such a large part of the US,
Hmm.
like geographically, but also a lot of it is kind of like uninhabited in a
Hmm.
way,
Yeah.
mountains and stuff like that, and
Yep.
swamp territories and things like that. So
Hmm.
there are some real good ones. So
Okay.
I think I picked 4 total. So I'm not reading a ton of them, but I really wanted to just share like the best, spookiest ones. So
Yes. Let's hear it.
the first one, I actually don't know how to say this. It's named after this a city in Arkansas, and it's either called Fouke or Fook. It's
Fuke,
Fou,
Arkansas.
Fook, Arkansas. Fook you, Arkansas. Fouke is how it's spelled. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
We're gonna say Falk because it
Okay.
sounds.
Yeah.
I'll laugh less about
Okay.
it. So the little like subtitle is the $25 million Bigfoot.
Hmm.
It is a humanoid type located in Fouke, Arkansas. Earliest sighting was 1971, so a little more recent, and size varies a bit between 6 and 8 feet tall. So here is the origin story. It was Saturday, the evening of May 1, 1971. Elizabeth Ford was lying on the couch at her new house, which she and her husband Bob had just moved into a week previously. It was on the outskirts of Fouke, Arkansas, isolated and surrounded by forest. The curtains on the nearby window stirred, and a long, thick, hairy arm reached through the window toward Elizabeth.
Oh, God.
She told the Associated Press, "I could see its eyes. They looked like coals of fire, real red."
They
Red.
real red.
They're real red. I knew you'd like that. Red as hell. Okay. Before it had a chance to grab her, Bob and his brother Don chased what was on the other end of that arm into the woods, shotguns blasting. They had encountered what would become known as the Fouke monster, a stinky Bigfoot type beast with long dark hair and glowing red eyes the size of a man or bigger. And then they encountered it again. The creature returned around midnight, ramming against the door of the house.
Wow.
Bob tried to fend it. Yeah, Bob tried to fend it off, but when he went outside, the monster grabbed him. He got away and ran back to the house, so scared for his life he hit the closed front door of his home at full speed, blasting it open with his body. The incident was reported to the police, and the Fords moved away the next day. So they had just moved to this new home, and this scared them so badly they were like, "We're out of here."
Yeah.
The only physical evidence of the night were the scratches on Bob's body. Violence and intrusive nature of the event is just one of the ways that the Fouke monster is unique among Bigfoot encounters. Because typically Bigfoot's like kind of a friendly giant. Like he's just like not trying to be caught. Nobody else in Fouke moved away though. They were all too busy going Bigfoot crazy. So reports started to pour in of sightings of a large, dark, hairy beast haunting the farms and roads of the area and stealing livestock, which is a little more similar to the standard Bigfoot stories. Some recall past accounts of a similar monster dating back to the 1940s. Multiple rewards were offered for its capture, including $200 by a resident named Raymond Scoggins. His condition was that the Fouke monster had to be brought in alive so that he could put it in a zoo.
Oh, no. Come on.
Come on, man. T-shirts emblazoned with Fauci Forever were created by the local, well, which, like, let me just go back on what I said about the pronunciation. Fauci Forever. Fauci monster. So
That's perfect.
So perfect. The t-shirts were created by a local radio station, which also offered a $1,000 reward for its capture. 3 men, inspired by the Ford encounter, claimed they were attacked by it, showing scratches on their bodies as evidence. A quick check of their fingernails by law enforcement belied the hoax, and they were fined. So, of course, like, people go crazy with this shit. Farmers also complained to the police about damage to crops, not from the monster, but from the volume of monster hunters. Tracks were found in the area 13.5 inches long and 4.5 inches at their widest point. Unique not just among Bigfoot, but among all primate species, Fauci had only 3 toes on each of its big feet. So definitely more like evolutionarily like monkey-ish, primate-y,
Yeah.
a little less human. But one thing really caused the Fouke monster to stand out amid the heyday of Bigfoot sightings across the country, which this was like the time, like the 70s, when Bigfoot people were going crazy. Other than its 3-toed feet and affinity for home invasion, it became a movie star. So the legend of Boggy Creek was based on the Fouke monster, which I didn't know. It was released just 1 year after the sightings. And the director, Charles B. Pierce, filmed the story as a docudrama, not only interviewing locals, but using them as actors in reenactments. The climactic scene of the Bigfoot attack was filmed in the Ford's vacated house. So that was actually in the home where it happened.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. The movie maintains an eerie, rustic atmosphere as it shows a haunted Arkansas landscape against a trippy 1970s music soundtrack, which makes me want to rewatch it because I've seen it once before. I want to rewatch it. It was very cheaply made,
Mhm.
$160,000
Oh, wow.
was all it took to make it. Yeah.
Impressive.
But it eventually got nationwide theatrical release, went on to make upwards of $25 million, hence the
Wow.
$25 Bigfoot
Oh.
title, making the Fouke monster famous both in cryptid circles and as a horror cult classic.
Hmm.
Um, the movie, of course, also inspired a lot of people to head to Fouke to try to find the Fouke monster.
Mhm.
Um, the mayor at the time, J.D. Larry, was like, "Oh my God, can we please not do this?"
I can't even.
So yeah, there were some like repercussions about that, but it's more political than spooky at this point.
Hmm.
So yeah, if you want to get a little bit more of a visual idea of the Fouke monster, you can watch the Legend of um, Boggy Creek.
Yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah,
didn't know about that one.
and a scary, scary
Hmm.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, a
Uh,
violent Bigfoot.
Violent Bigfoot, I know. Okay, so the next one, by the way, Mothman is in here, along with a bunch of others we've like talked about a little bit.
Hmm.
But this one, I hope our mascot is listening because this is the Beast of Bladenborough, also known
Oh.
as Dracula's cat.
Oh my gosh, that sounds cool.
Right. So it's a feline type located in Bladenboro, North Carolina. Earliest sighting was 1954. It's 3 to 5 feet long, 90 to 150 pounds. It's a pretty big cat. So some cryptids appear briefly, scare a couple people, and disappear. Other cryptids, like the Beast of Bladenborough, crash onto the scene with astonishing violence. So here comes the origin story. In January 1954, in the town of Bladenboro, North Carolina, 3 dogs were discovered with their skulls crushed flat and tongues chewed out. But it, yeah, but it wasn't until somebody cut open the poor canines that they discovered something even more disturbing. According to the Robsonian newspaper, Police Chief Roy Fors explained that the dogs had been almost completely exsanguinated. The same, yeah, the same word popped into everyone's head at this revelation, but Fors was the first to use it on record. Vampire. He immediately tried to drain the terror from the word, though, adding, the vampire is probably a mad wolf. Posses were formed to support Fors as he searched the swamplands on the edge of town for what the newspapers variously called a vampire beast or vampire killer or the bleeder beast of Bladenborough. None of those hunting parties could find the creature. Somehow, though, many of the dogs in town did. Over the course of the next month, up to a dozen dogs were killed, some decapitated, some drained of blood, and others mauled. Footprints in the snow included long, heavy claw marks, and people started seeing a dark coated, cat faced creature between 3 and 5 feet long, between 90 and 150 pounds, essentially the size of a large dog. The beast's cry sounded like that of a baby or a woman in distress, but of a timbre that communicated in no uncertain terms that its source was not human. Yeah, about 1,000 hunters came from miles to bag the beast, outnumbering the local residents by a good couple hundred. The hunters even brought dogs as bait.
Oh, how cruel.
Yeah, for one dog, it worked too well, as it was dragged off into the swamp by the creature within earshot of a hunting party that was powerless to stop it. Newspapers reported that Bladenboro had turned into a carnival, though probably not the kind that you'd bring your kids to. Um, Many hypothesized about the types of large cats that the beast could be: panther, lynx, bobcat, catamount, which I'd never heard of, mountain lion, but none of these animals quite fit the profile. Those types of cats are either extremely rare in Bladenboro or weren't so violently confrontational. So usually, like the fact that this thing was just so violent was like,
Yeah.
what is going on? The
Hmm.
decapitation, like all of it.
Yeah.
One veterinarian posited that it might not be a cat at all, but an escaped watchdog on a bloodlust fueled killing spree, which sounds
Hmm.
way more dramatic than
Yeah.
seems possible. Um, some some found some humor in the situation, and people were, like the local theater ran The Big Cat, which was a 1949 action movie about a puma. Um, yeah, and just people being kind of shitty and jokey about it until its first attack on a human, which was on January 5th at 8 p.m. Mrs. C.E. Kinlaw was outside her house investigating some whimpering dogs. She saw the creature, which she described as a big mountain lion, and it charged at her. She screamed, and it stalled in its tracks as her husband dashed outside. It ran off. They examined its tracks later and learned something newly disturbing. There were two sets. Yeah. The Asheville Citizen Times paper summarized the discovery succinctly as the vampire may have a mate. So there were now two beasts of Bladdenboro out there. Eventually, all the hunters in town became annoying and dangerous, and so Officer Flores called off the grand hunt. Newspapers announced it with the headline Vampire Beast Wins Battle of Bladdenboro. Not long after, a 35-pound bobcat was killed as was a similarly sized quote leopard-like animal that some claimed was an ocelot. I didn't even know
Hmm.
ocelots in North Carolina.
I
I
didn't
guess it's
either.
where they would be at all, but
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
people touted one or maybe both of those animals as the beast, so potentially it being the two of them, a bobcat and an
Oh.
ocelot together. Um, But when pigs and chickens were violently killed in the ensuing days, others took that as proof that the beast was still out there. By the
Hmm.
end of January, there were no more sightings of the beast, although for the rest of the year, anytime livestock were killed, people wondered if it had returned. So,
Huh.
no way to know if it was a bobcat or an ocelot after
Right.
all.
Hmm.
One thing is for sure, Bladdenboro doesn't celebrate a Bobcat Fest every year. It celebrates a Beast Fest. In 2009, Bladdenboro kicked off an annual celebration of the mysterious animal. Every fall, 8,000 people converge on this town of less than 2,000 to listen to music, eat food, wear costumes, participate in carnival activities, and get a picture with the festival mascot, a person costumed as the Beast of Bladdenboro, which they affectionately call Bob.
Oh, cute. They
Just
made the
pretty.
best out of it.
Yeah, but those poor dogs. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's a really mysterious one because it
I
doesn't
know.
sound like they have a very good explanation.
No, and like what big cat sucks the blood out of its like they
Yeah,
would eat the meat. They
right.
wouldn't just suck its
Yeah,
blood.
no.
So weird.
Yeah, very. Hmm.
Can animals even suck?
I don't know.
Like
Pro- I mean,
like they
not
can like
that kind of animal, I don't think.
and not in that way. Like I know
Yeah,
like they're mammals, so they would
right,
drink their mother's milk, but
right.
that's a very different like
Yeah,
mouth function, you
uh-huh.
know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you were to bite into something and suck that way, the way like a
Mhm.
vampire would, yeah, like through your
Mhm.
teeth kind of.
Yeah.
Can they even do that?
I don't know. How do we test that? Put a
I don't
straw
know.
in a dog's mouth
I'm
and see.
like, "Hey,
Yeah.
buddy, like bite me really hard."
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. That is interesting.
Yeah, I know. So
Hmm.
kind of spooky. And
Very.
I feel like the thing that makes it extra spooky is that they found the two tracks. Because I think the sheriff was right in the first place, where he was like, it could be like a wolf that's just like
Mhm.
gone
Crazy.
off.
Mhm.
But two seems really unlikely. And like animals are good at sensing when other animals are not right in the head. Like they
Right.
usually steer clear.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It just seems kind of interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So the next one is an aquatic type located in the Tennessee River in Tennessee. Earliest sighting was 1822.
Wow. An
And this
oldie.
yeah, an oldie, is 25 feet long, with the lovely name, the Tennessee Terror,
Ooh.
cryptid with a curse. So
Uh-oh.
this one's a little bit different. It's interesting.
Hmm.
Cryptids, for all their scary monsterhood, rarely hurt people, which is true.
Mhm. Yeah.
You have some like brief encounters, but it's rare that like someone died,
Right.
So
Mhm.
like kind of an important note.
Yeah.
But they always seem like they want to. They come at you in the night with large fangs and big claws, giant hairy muscles, sharp beaks, horns, spikes on their back and tails, blah, blah, blah. But the Tennessee Terror, while in most ways a typical aquatic cryptid, has a unique method of harm. You die whether it swallows you whole or not because it's cursed.
Hmm.
The Tennessee Terror is serpentine, 25 feet long, with a spiny back from which extends a 2-foot long black fin and a giant canine like head. It lurks in the Tennessee River, although sometimes it'll head up a tributary or two. The origin of the curse it bears is unknown, but it's said that just seeing the monster is enough to invoke it, causing the witness to die in a year or less.
Whoa.
Yeah. The monster is primarily sourced to the work of contemporary historian and author E. Randall Floyd. The story he tells in the Spartanburg Herald Journal of South Carolina, among other places, begins in 1822 when a Tennessee farmer named Buck Sutton was fishing on the shore of the Tennessee River at a place called Van's Hole. Something dark and serpentine splashing in the water caught his attention, something his rod was no match for. A fish Sutton would later describe to his friends as monstrous was causing a commotion in the shallows about 30 feet from where he stood. He left the spot immediately, not with terror or excitement, but with sadness. He somehow knew what the thing was and knew he was cursed for seeing it.
Hmm.
Sutton died a few days later of causes unrecorded, or as the
Oh.
first victim of the Tennessee Terror.
Wow.
Like
Weird.
he had sense of dread just
Uh-huh.
seeing it. Like,
Yeah. Like
and
instinct kicks in.
yeah.
Hmm.
So in 1827, the Tennessee Terror was spotted again by a man named Billy Burns. Burns described it as a blue-yellow snake-like thing, at least as long as the canoe he was in, or almost out of, as the monster nearly capsized. According to Floyd, the Chattanooga Daily Chronicle reported that Burns died a year later in some strange manner.
Hmm.
That's in quotes, in some
Yeah.
strange manner.
Hmm.
In 1829, a farmer named Jim Wyndham, Jim Wyndham, fishing in a boat when he saw the creature's head emerge from the water not 10 feet away. It slowly passed me, then rolled over on its side, he said, according to Floyd. It swam around his boat a few times, and Wyndham saw the black fin jutting from the water. He paddled furiously to the safety of dry land, although he knew that safety would be short-lived. He had seen the fish, and he was now cursed. Wyndham died a few months later of fever, despite trying to fight the curse by going to church and praying daily.
Hmm.
Floyd claims that as the river got choppy with steamboats, sightings of the monster became more rare. And as the Tennessee Terror was seen less and less, the curse also seemed to lose power. A few people who would spot it in the mid 1930s without ill effect. A woman named Sally Wilson. Why do I get like,
It happens to me too.
God
I don't
damn
know.
it? But it's me way more.
No. I feel like before doing this podcast, I never read out loud. So it's
That's true.
just like a foreign
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, that is very true. Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
A woman named Sally Wilson saw it multiple times in the river, and the last sighting recorded was by her husband, J.C. Wilson. He spotted the creature cavorting in the water in a playful mood, and the husband and wife did fine after that. These days, fishers on the Tennessee don't talk about the Tennessee Terror very much. If they talk about a monster in the river at all, it will usually be Catzilla, which is a giant catfish the size of a Volkswagen
Yeah.
bus
Mm-mm.
that swallows unlucky divers. That's like that River Monsters show. Like, no, thank
Yeah.
you.
No. Mm-mm.
However, this story is as common throughout the country as catfish themselves, but only the Tennessee Terror is cursed, and that's worth commemorating.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's
Interesting.
going back to like the believing you'll die thing and then
Mm-hmm.
dying,
Yeah.
or I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird.
That's
It's super
interesting. That could be examples of voodoo death. Like
weird. Mm-hmm.
someone said it was cursed, they
Mm-hmm.
died, and now everyone
Everyone
believes that
believes
it will happen to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the fourth and final one. And this is called the Pope Lick Monster.
Okay. These have such odd names.
I know. a mammalian humanoid type located in Louisville, Kentucky. Earliest sightings were in the 1960s, and its notable feature is it lives under railroad trestle.
Oh.
Creepy.
Little troll.
Yeah, little troll. Literally little troll. And I'm just gonna show you the photo and we'll
Yeah.
post it. Like blood
Oh.
dripping axe it's carrying.
Creepy.
That's some
Like,
like satanic cult looking shit
yeah.
right there. Yeah. So the Pope monster of Louisville, Kentucky is not itself celebrated, commemorated, or memorialized. It's feared, even by those who don't believe it exists. However, the creature is inextricably linked to a specific object in Louisville, one that draws visitors to the monster as effectively as a historical plaque or a statue, a train trestle bridge.
Hmm.
The train trestle was built in the late 19th century and is owned by the Norfolk Southern Railway. It passes over Poplick Creek and South Poplick Road at the edge of the Raleigh-Peterson Educational Forest in eastern Louisville. I didn't know forests could be educational, but like love
No.
that.
Neither do I.
I mean, they're all educational,
Right.
arguably.
Mm-hmm.
At its highest, the 772-foot long trestle is a deadly 90 feet above the ground. It looks abandoned and rickety, but some 24 freight trains cross it each day. And that's not the only dangerous thing about the bridge. The Poplick monster is said to live under the trestle like the troll in the Three-Billed Scruff fairy tale. The beast is a Kentucky Fried version of the Greek satyr, a goat-human hybrid, although some sources describe the monster as half sheep, half human, which looks super similar, so it's not theirs.
Yeah.
It's often depicted by artists as a bipedal, furry humanoid with a goat's face and curving ram's horns. Super demonic sounding to me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Very.
goat sheep human thing. I'm like, oh,
Satan. Yeah.
Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although in some accounts, the monster is actually headless, as if its head had been severed at the neck by the wheels of a locomotive. That seems like a very specific scenario
Right.
just by looking at it. But
Yeah.
okay,
So it's just a body walking around.
I guess
Interesting.
carrying a bloody axe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The trestle isn't just the home of the Pope Lick monster, it's also the monster's murder weapon. The goat man lures people onto the trestle by either hypnotizing them or mimicking human voices. Once the victim finds themselves trapped atop the vertiginous, wow, good word,
Yeah.
vertiginous,
I don't know
like
that word.
to give vertigo, I assume. That's how it looks.
Oh, okay.
That's a good
Yeah.
word. Oh my God.
Start trying to work that into our vocab.
And then people just look at you like you're a fucking
Uh-huh.
asshole. Whatever. Okay, so once the victim finds themselves trapped atop the vertiginous bridge, they are killed either by oncoming trains or by the long drop to the ground below. Even driving underneath the bridge is dangerous, as the Pope-like monster has been said to drop from the trestle to attack cars.
Whoa. Mm-mm.
How? That's some Stephen King nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah.
Like some fucking tall ass, creepy ass, satanic goat man, just like letting
Jumping
go from
down.
the trestle and like,
Gotcha. Yeah. No.
Okay, but the thing about this monster is that even though it may only exist in the realm of urban legend, it has caused real death. Every couple of years, somebody dies on that bridge. Trains are often unable to stop in time, and anybody who finds themselves on the tracks at the wrong moment will have nowhere to go but under the wheels of the train or off the side of the bridge. Tragically, these deaths are often of people who went atop the bridge looking for the Pope-like monster, making them actual victims of the creature, whether it's real or not. The last victim on record died in May 2019. It's like very recent.
Wow.
And this was published in 2022. So that's probably still pretty accurate.
Yeah.
2 teenage girls, one 15 and one 16, were on the tracks when a train crossed. One was killed immediately, and the other survived after being taken to the hospital in critical condition. Whether they were up there looking for a monster is uncertain, but probable. Part of the legend holds that walking across the bridge can summon the monster. But another death 3 years earlier was more directly connected to the Poplik. In April 2016, two Ohio tourists, 26-year-old Raquel Bain and her boyfriend, 41-year-old David Nee. That's a big age gap, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're on their way to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, a famous destination for those who like to ghost hunt or explore spooky abandoned sites, which I feel like we should look into.
Mm-hmm.
Before heading to the asylum, they decided to check out the infamous Poplik Monster Bridge. When the train came speeding across the trestle, Bain was hit by the train and fell to her death, while Nee was able to survive by wrapping his arms and legs around the edge of the bridge. He was barely able to hold on as the structure vibrated ferociously. So you can see why local authorities try to keep people away. A trail beneath the bridge is safe unless the goat man jumps off the bridge onto you. But authorities have fenced off the entrance to the bridge, festooning it with no trespassing signs, and there are now criminal penalties for interfering with the railroad. So, yikes.
Yeah.
There's obviously a safety reason to erect a plaque or statue dedicated to the Poplik monster. And otherwise, it's memorialized as a local monster in Louisville. So
Interesting. That one's
that
pretty
brings
dark.
super dark. And
Yeah.
it reminded me, like, it reminds me of so many things. Like, but all of these reminded me of, like, yeah, the voodoo death concept, but
Mm-hmm.
also like this idea of like gives you like what gives a creature power is like belief
Mm-hmm.
in it, right? So like
Yeah.
whether it's paranormal and real or paranormal and not real,
Mm-hmm.
like Slender Man, like can we believe these things into existence? And even if we can't, all of those people who died are still its victims,
Right.
even if it's just a thought,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I think that could be like a really good premise for a horror book, like a
Mm-hmm.
horror story or movie, like
Yeah.
about a local town legend of this scary thing, and you never actually see it, but it
Right.
kills a bunch of people.
Yeah. That you should write that. I would read it.
Okay,
Or
good. I'll get started.
pitch it to Stephen King.
Honestly, maybe I should. Hey, Steven, I got an
Yeah.
idea for you. Picture
Yeah.
this. Louisville, Kentucky. He's gonna be like,
No.
you are a psycho.
No, I think that is an interesting thought because,
Right?
yeah, it technically is a victim
Yeah.
if you were
That's
out
so
looking for a monster and you died in the process.
right.
Hmm,
Yeah.
fascinating.
And then there could
Wow.
be a sequel about how it like comes into physical existence
Right.
because we believed it. It's
Oh
kind
my
of like The
gosh.
Outsider by Stephen King, but actually not at all. But
Let's
yeah.
should we submit this to No Sleep? Start writing.
Oh my God,
It's
wait. Yeah.
I would actually be into that. We
Okay.
could co-write something.
I'm gonna put a note to myself.
Okay. That could be a project for
Yeah.
the year.
What would we call it?
Mm, I'm not good on the spot.
I feel like it could literally be called like voodoo death.
Yeah, that's an intriguing term. I think people would click on it if.
Okay, I'll put that down for now because I'll know what I'm talking about when I
Okay.
reread that note. But
Yeah.
oh my God, fun!
We're authors now.
We're authors.
Podcaster, author.
We've written nothing, but we're authors now.
Exactly. Oh,
Oh
well.
shit. Okay, it's your turn.
Okay. So, I have just a couple that are all over the place. So, the first one is one I was really surprised that I hadn't come across before because it's the bat squatch. Have you heard of that?
No.
Me either. And I mean, as you can tell, it's like potentially a relative of Sasquatch, but it's
Yeah.
a bat. Um, it has
That's what.
wings. Yeah, bat squatch.
Oh, I-
Yeah, and he is native to Washington State in the US. Um, so the first documented sighting of bat squatch was in 1994 in the foothills of Mount Rainier in Washington. And 18-year-old Brian Canfield was driving home when his truck broke down totally out of the blue, and very abruptly. And it happened so quickly that he didn't even have time to pull over. He was just stuck in the middle of the road. So he was sitting in the driver's seat trying to get his car to start back up when he saw something coming down from the sky. So here's the description that was written in the newspaper article, and it was written by C.R. Roberts. So he wrote, "Then he saw the feet descending, bird feet, claw feet, then the legs, the
Oh
torso,
God.
yeah. The legs, the torso, the chest, and the wings folded, attached to the back of broad shoulders. Then the head, that face. The creature, 9 feet tall, 30 feet away, blue tinted fur, yellowish eyes, tufted ears, and sharp, straight teeth. With a dust raising thud, it landed." So it's like a big bat man Sasquatch. So Bat Squatch
That,
is an appropriate name. And I
that,
just Bat
oh my
Squatch.
God.
I know. Um,
Okay.
and it's kind of funny. This article, I just wanted to point out that I think this author was trying really hard to make this witness seem very reputable because
Mhm.
I think he genuinely believed his story, but he kept describing Brian in these ways. So he said, Brian is not a drinker. He doesn't do drugs. He's just a very average local kid. He's not a fan of heavy metal music. He doesn't play Dungeons and Dragons, and he's never seen a UFO. So that was him trying to be like, okay, this really happened. But
Oh my God.
anyway, um, Brian said that the bat squatch landed in front of his truck, but it didn't make any moves toward him or do anything particularly threatening. But he did stare at Brian for what felt like several minutes before he took off on wings that were the width of the road up toward Mount Rainier and into the wilderness. And as soon as the bat squatch disappeared, Brian's truck started back up as abruptly as it had stopped. So without even doing anything to fix it, it suddenly came back.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So when Brian got
It's
home,
like
he,
tinkery, like someone tinkered with it or
yes.
something
Yeah.
tinkered.
So yeah, because of that, they now say that one of Bat Squatch's like powers is to affect vehicles. Um,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, and other electronics. So, um,
Mm.
when Brian got home, he immediately told his mother what had happened, and the neighbor also was over at the house, and they all went back out to search for physical evidence of this, so that they could, have proof, I guess. But they didn't find anything.
Mm.
So then, after Brian's initial account, there weren't any more documented bat squatch sightings for a few years. And when there were, the sightings, like the details of them varied a little bit. So in 1998, an anonymous trucker who was hauling logs in northern Oregon claimed
Hauling logs.
hauling logs. He claimed that he hit Bat Squatch with his truck. So,
Oh, that's
um,
cool.
yeah, I don't know if the truck was very damaged or what exactly happened, but
Mm.
he described the creature as 15 feet tall, so even bigger than what Brian
Oh,
said, with a purple nose and eyes. And he said it had tiny wings. So I don't know. Maybe he just saw Sasquatch because I feel like the wings are
yeah,
what would make it a bat, but who knows?
totally.
Then in 2009, a group of hikers were hiking up Mount Shasta when they reported seeing a flying humanoid creature with bat like features. And
Mm.
they described it in a funny way. They said he was stocky like Hulk Hogan. with,
Like, you could have said, like,
I
anything.
know. Or just leave it at he was very stocky.
Yeah.
But he looked like Hulk Hogan. Poor Hulk. He probably wouldn't like that
Oh, that's fucking
comparison.
funny. No.
Yeah. But stocky like Hulk Hogan with leathery wings 50 feet from one end to the other and the face of a bat. So, and then also in 2009, I believe, a pilot who was flying in the area claimed that his aircraft was buzzed by something huge. So that was added to the Bat Squatch canon as well. Um, so, although the official documented sightings of Bat Squatch didn't start until the 90s, somehow Bat Squatch has also been closely linked to the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. And though none of these stories were ever officially reported in the newspaper or anything, people shared by word of mouth that they were seeing some sort of giant winged creature flying around in the aftermath of the eruption of the volcano. So, this led people who have investigated this story, including on a TV show called Monsters Across America, to wonder if Bat Squatch falls into a category of, quote, diabolical flying apes who were let loose from the pit of the earth during the volcanic eruption.
Jesus.
Yeah. So they speculate that Bat Squatch is a product of the volcano, I guess.
Oh,
So kind of interesting. And now,
yeah, different.
yeah, Bat Squatch has entered pop culture, especially up there, even because I haven't heard of it, but I guess in the Pacific Northwest, he's pretty popular. And
Okay.
there's an IPA, a beer that's called Bat Squatch that I'm curious to try.
Yeah.
But that's Bat Squatch. And he then led me to wonder if there were any other like volcanic cryptids, which sounds ridiculous, but I found one.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's called, I assume it's called the cherufe because
mhm.
I think it's Spanish-ish because it's in South America.
Oh, okay.
But the cherufe is a humanoid reptilian creature reported to live in volcanic environments. It is said that cherufe inhabit the magma pools found deep within Chilean volcanoes and
Mm.
are the source of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Um, Cherufe are also said to be the source of meteorites and volcanic stones that cause damage in volcanic regions. So this one's a little more magical. Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
anyone's ever seen this because he lives inside a volcano, but it's
right.
still interesting. um, so the only way to abate the cherufe's appetite for destruction was to satiate the beast's taste for human flesh
Mm.
by throwing a sacrificial victim into the bowels of its volcanic home. And much like the European dragon, the cherufe's preferred delicacy came in the form of virginal maidens, of
Oh,
course.
of course. I didn't even think about it being, like, looking like a dragon until you just
Hmm.
said that.
I hadn't either until I read that because it
But
said
of course, it would have to
humanoid,
be. Yeah.
but
But it would have to be, like, covered in scales,
mhm,
basically, to
yeah,
protect it, like armor.
right, exactly. So
Whoa.
Um, yeah, legend has it that once the cherufe was finished consuming the more delicate portions of its victims, it would
Mm.
delight in a game in which it would ignite the disembodied heads of the young girls who were sacrificed to it and hurtle them from the mouth of its volcanic home. So he's a psycho.
Yeah. Oh my god,
Yeah,
sadistic
yeah,
bitch.
he's not a good one. Um,
Mm.
let's see.
They're like, "But
Uh,
he makes meteorites." Like,
yeah,
"No, let's
no.
not glamorize this."
Yeah, the meteorites are the heads of the people he throws out of the
Basically,
volcano.
yeah.
He's just
Poor
super
guy.
strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, like I said, that one's probably more folklory, just probably one that originated as a way to explain volcanic eruptions way back when.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the Cherufe. And then I had one other that came up just because I was looking at South American cryptids at that point, because that was in Chile. And this one is actually related to werewolves. So it actually, well, I'll just read this. So it's called the lobizon, and
Mm.
it's the South American werewolf. And the myth mainly prevails in Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, or Paraguay and Uruguay. And it stems from the Portuguese belief that the seventh son of a family of all boys would turn into a lobizon on the night of a full moon, especially if it fell on a Friday. And interestingly,
Party time.
I know that's when the wolf comes out. Exactly. um, And this, I should have fact checked this before I even say this, but it links to an article in The Independent, which is that a tabloid or is that an actually
I don't know. Let me look.
reputable source? Because it says even the Argentine president strongly believes in this myth. And the,
Tabloid.
okay, because the headline of the article is President of Argentina adopts Jewish godson to stop him turning into a werewolf. So,
I don't know, man, but like sometimes tabloids are right.
I know. I mean, who knows? This person might just be superstitious. And
Hmm.
yeah, who
Not
knows?
just a little bit stitches,
Yeah,
a superstitious.
superstitious. But I don't fully understand because so maybe the president was going to have another child and it was going to be their seventh. So they adopted this child between the sixth, so that
So
the
that,
new child would be the eighth boy and not turn into a lobison.
but I feel like, do
That's,
curses
yeah,
really like care about like,
whether you
I don't
adopted
know.
someone between,
Yeah.
yeah, probably not. But
The curse is like, well, technically,
yeah,
he's the
let
A.
me check
Good,
the bylaws.
good trick.
Yeah.
Like semantics. I'm about
Um,
that.
yeah. So who knows if that's true, but it's entertaining. So
Mhm.
um, the original Lobison legend is in Guarani mythology, and the Guarani are the indigenous people of Paraguay whose mythology stated that there were seven monsters. And of the seven monsters, the last one, the Lobison, had a horrendous appearance, but at the time, in the very initial story, it did not resemble the wolf, but was known as the god of death. So the association with the wolf came when Europeans colonized South America, and werewolf stories were all over the place in Europe
Yeah.
way back when. So it just kind of morphed together. So now the lobison is half man, half wolf.
Okay.
So there we go. All over the
I like
place.
that one. I
Yeah.
really like that one though. I
Uh-huh.
feel like there's not enough. We need to do more like South American lore because
Hmm.
I feel like it's really interesting, and I also just like hearing you say words in
Yeah.
Spanish.
I always feel like, am I being a douche when I
No,
say stuff
you're
like that?
not.
Like
No, it sounds really nice.
a
It sounds really nice.
Paraguay. I just can't bring
Paraguay,
myself to say it. Or like Chile.
Uruguay, Chile,
Chile.
Chile, it's Chile,
Yeah, Chile.
Chile, like
Chile.
like
Hormel chili.
stew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's
No,
not
no.
right. So,
Mm-mm.
anyway, there we go. Some more
I
cryptids.
love it. More cryptids for your ass. Um, Sorry.
You crazy.
Anyway, you crazy. God, I see. Okay, well, we will talk to you guys next week.
Mhm.
In the meantime, stay spooky, please. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram
Mhm.
at Girls Gone Spooky and email us your spooky stories at girlsgonespooky@gmail.com. And good news for
Oh.
you spooky little hoes. Next week, we're treating as a holiday because
Uh-huh.
Valentine's Day, the following Tuesday,
Yes.
the 10th, is our spooky Valentine's Day. So, you know what that means. More the
Stories.
more to be
David.
and more David
Yeah.
and more guy who is stuck in a time
Yeah.
loop with a creepy glass yet.
Yep.
So we'll be back
Mhm.
with more scary stories, and until then, stay spooky.
Stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.